Hello and welcome to session 6 of 8 for our Legacy Life Among the Ruins game. This would be the longest of these Legacy games I've run. I've run it 5 sessions and that felt too short. So it's good to have the few steps beyond that so that we can wrap up some stories. Unfortunately, our Starfarers are not present today, but they will be returning and we'll see how they're doing. But today we are coming in following the turning of the age. We're going to look at the fallout of that. We have 2 characters who have remained. We'll check and see how much they've changed and roles and all of those kinds of transformations. And we'll also check in with our seeds, our Enclave of Bygone lore, and see about the new person, the new leader there. So that's kind of, we're going to kind of start out today. If you're watching this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. You can find out more about this online gaming club / community at gauntlet-rpg.com. So, right, tell us what your new character is going to be within the Enclave as they've kind of changed in the last few years, because a lot happened.
Yeah, I think that they have continually been hunted down by the Warren and have been forced to abandon their kind of high ideals of being this family of intellectual university researchers, and they are now becoming a more militaristic family. So I'm going to be taking the Hunter for my new character,
Okay.
and their name will be Axel. Ambiguous gender, a blunt face, wary eyes, and a stocky body. Force 1, lore 0, steel 1, and sway -1. So they will be playing the agent role, and they will be taking on a mission to hunt down a dangerous target. I think we know who that is.
Yes.
And the GM can say some special gear the family gives to help. And what else should I say about them? The 2 moves I took are Hunter's Lore. So when I come upon a sign of something inhuman, I can roll plus lore, and I get to ask some questions, and then Scrap Heap. Oh no, that's still there. I didn't change the name from that. But the other move I took is when I take a few moments to size up your target, roll plus force on a 7 to 9, hold 2, on a 10 plus hold 3. So definitely tooling this Axel up to be a hunter here.
Yeah, and those are 2 good moves. Those are really sharp ones. It's one of the actually things I find interesting about this game is the questions, the question moves that sometimes in other games are a little weak. Like this, they actually are nice. They provide a nice entry and a nice focus, and I like how they work. We'll have Axel. Axel, what has been your interaction with Quartz? Quartz is an important person amongst the children. They own the cathedral in the capital. There's been some commerce and trade back and forth. So have you've met Quartz, and in what context do you think that would have been?
So there were some backstory options. I didn't know if I should just grab those randomly.
You can choose one of those, or if you want to kind of figure out what you think would be the appropriate reason.
Okay, because the one I chose was Quartz left me for dead. And I was kind of picturing that maybe on one of their first, on Axel's, one of their first kind of missions, they went out with Quartz to, maybe this was one of the times when we partnered with them to try to fight the Warren, and everything went south, and Quartz thought all of our troops were dead, and he just kind of did his disapparating thing when someone else called upon him and disappeared in the middle of the fight there. So.
It is sad that lost Axel's faith was too weak.
Yes, but he came back. So maybe it was stronger than you thought.
I like that. Does that work for you, Alan? Okay. And then what is your relationship with Dew on Meadows? Now a little more older, a little more seasoned person within the river folk?
I think that maybe Axel was part of one of their more recent expeditions to gain some of the lore, and so they've spent some time together traversing the wasteland and fighting shoulder to shoulder, so to speak. So they have a good relationship.
I like that. Are you good with that, David?
Yeah, that's good with me.
So let's take a look. Let me find my page here, moving the clock forward. We did all the fortunes and trials last time. And in that, I think we got a sense of some of the changes, the river folk moving and actually taking a little more control over the city of glass, the schism that was going on within the Sky Children, kind of being drawn back together, and our change amongst the family of our enclave, that occurring. So what I want to do is I'm going to check in on the doctrine, lifestyle, assets, and tradition, and make sure that if there's any changes that would occur to those. And then I think I'm not going to worry about the custom so much. I think I'm going to worry about adding something to the map, because everybody gets to add a threat, an opportunity, which could be an opportunity for getting a surplus or dealing with a need, or a new faction to the map. So let's start with our Sky Children. And we can also talk about where you kind of want to steer your family for this session, Alan.
So yeah, I think that we came out, we begin the third age on an upturn. It feels like the church founded in the name of the presence is quite strong. We founded a trading hub around the sanctuary of the Sky Children. And I'm seeing Quartz probably becoming a prophet, but I want to run that by the table really, because the prophet, mark when you first visit a wonder, we only have the one, say what disaster will bring it down. When the GM inevitably narrates the disaster, you will be in prime condition to save the people or the wonder you choose. So, that's a little, maybe that's a bit apocalyptic, I don't know. But I think I am fancying prophet above leader as Quartz's fourth role.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. This will be your final role, and they have it that you, when you mark all roles retired to safety, but I think it's this is sort of the last role that your character is going to inhabit. So I think that you will be in the cathedral, and you will have a vision of a power rising in the south. You will have a vision of the Warren, and I think you will have a vision of them talking with each other, communicating. They have a language, and you can see that they have found some tech from before, some magitech, some of the power of the sorcery that the seeds themselves were searching for. And you can see them, their leaders up atop ruins speaking down below, and that they regard the Obsidian Archipelago as the source for all of their woes, and they believe that if they can destroy this city, then they will no longer have to worry about these people that continue to attack them, and that they've now have a deep and abiding enmity towards.
Do you want me to tell you what the priority of the Sky Children would be in terms of the wonder or the people, or do you want that to grow
We'll
out of
come
the game?
back and we'll figure out where you're going to be to perhaps save one or two of them. But let me go on with the other couple of bits. Are there any changes to your family's doctrine, lifestyle, assets, or traditions?
No, I think that we've reached a point of stability.
Okay. And what do you want to add to the map? A threat, an opportunity, or a new faction?
I want to add a threat, which is I want to extend the area encompassed by the damned.
Okay.
Is that change an existing threat rather than add one? Is that okay?
I think that seems fair to me. I think that brings that threat, which has been kind of brewing in the background. We haven't seen them on stage. We bring that to the forefront. And I'll let you redefine those boundaries. David, let's talk about the river folk. Are there any changes to doctrine, lifestyle, assets, or traditions?
No, I think largely that's well, as I say, it's remained the same. Obviously, more of our people are settling, but I think that the prime the bulk of the population is still nomadic, and that sort of nomadic lifestyle is still kind of core to the culture, I think.
Okay.
And I think the others are remaining as they are.
And what does the river folk think about this whole ongoing decade-long struggle between the Warren and the Seeds?
I think that they've probably been assisting the Seed to an extent, but sort of conducting mass sort of on land combat isn't really their sort of area of expertise. So I think they've been helping, but not that's probably the probably not decisively, though, more helping with like supplying them and supporting them than actually kind of probably getting stuck into like battling the Warren.
Okay, that sounds reasonable to me. And also, let me ask you about your Dew. What is Dew's current role?
So Dew's role at the moment he was still in the leader role, though I will be marking. I think I'm actually going to both of the both of the roles I think are quite interesting that I've got left for me, Outsider and Prophet, but I think I'm going to go for Outsider.
Okay.
So I think, what this looks like is over time, eventually the Dew was able to recover the source of the river, which was the tome he was looking for to help with his people's kind of to ground their culture again, which was engraved on the skeleton of the first curator. And the sort of it's sort of described before. It's kind of has the teachings that sort of every end is a new beginning and every beginning is a new end sort of thing. And it's all about the cycle of life and changing to adapt to new things. And that's sort of given them some guidance. But over time, since things have settled down a bit in the family, I think that Dew has become, some would say obsessed, but certainly very interested in the effects of the sorry, I've forgotten the name. Destiny's Rainbow. I kept wanting to say Gravity's Rainbow.
Right.
And I think he has learnt of a mystic tome that might help learn more about what it is and how it works, and that tracking that down will kind of be his his final quest as a player character.
Do you have a name for the tome?
I haven't named it yet. No.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
And sorry, and
sure.
from you, so the and you get to say what heretics will unleash its more dangerous secrets. For when you decide
So
that.
I think that there is a fragment of the seeds, and they've been broken and hurt and shattered. And they had always, if I recall correctly, Rye, it had been about understanding the magics of the old age and understanding them as a science and a process. And I think that there are a group of them that have become even more militant than the ones who are taking the war to the Warren, and believe that they can reshape the world and they can turn things in a new direction, and that they can impose their will if they can just get the right magics. And that seems to be pointing them towards the source of the river, but this more recent book. And does that seem like a good one? So they're out there as a threat. Rye, what do we want to call this splinter faction?
Well, it's interesting that you said that there's a splinter faction, because axle is like the word for a plant where the new growth comes out. And I think that his parents were probably originally, if they maybe didn't join the splinter faction, they're very much sympathetic to it, and they named him that because they wanted to see the seeds go in a new direction. So, but a name for a splinter faction. Let me get back to you real quick on that.
Sure, absolutely. And David, what do you want to add to the map? A new threat, opportunity, or faction?
I think that I'm going to add a new faction. I think actually, yeah, I'm going to add a new the faction that is that's basically the town that we passed through on the way to the Deadmire. I forget what we called it.
Yeah. It was like the Split or something.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, that was it. I was thinking it was something like Crossroads, but yeah. And I think that with the suppression of at least the active malevolence within the Deadmire, that sort of settlement has grown and prospered over time.
That makes sense. You've certainly cleared and restored and provided opportunities there.
I'll just add.
So let's look here and figure out where we want to head. I think we should probably do a family move for each of you to kind of center things. Does that
Should I add anything to the map too?
Oh yeah, that's right. We should have you add even more complications. An opportunity, good thing. A threat, could be good. Or a new faction.
Cool. I'm going to add an opportunity.
Okay.
And this is going to be up by Destiny's Rainbow. And it's going to be the Crystalline Labyrinth. And it's somehow linked to Destiny's Rainbow in a way, but it's basically just a pit that is, or not a pit, but the opening to this underground crystalline structure has opened up, and it's just, there's all sorts of tunnels down there with
like
tech in it.
A geode kind of thing that goes down.
Yeah,
Okay.
But like the walls are all made out of like smooth crystalline surfaces. So.
Okay.
And the name for the new group is the Thorns of the New Morning.
Thorns let's start with the Sky Children. Then let's talk to the Enclave, and then let's come to the River Folk and see what everybody is doing. Quartz, you've been around for a while. We're in a new age. Things have changed. Some threats still remain. What is it? What do you have needs and surpluses right now for your family?
Yes, we entered the Third Age with surpluses of barter goods, defenses, though they appear to need something from the strife endured. We're being conned by the starfarers on that.
That's right.
And a surplus of energy being tapped, I think, from either our crystals or perhaps from the archipelago.
Okay.
Need of idle. Never quite certain what that means. It feels
free time, relaxation, that your people are stressed and constantly pushed.
And I think that probably tells me that the church hierarchy, because we did need luxury. Now, we solved that problem last age. I think now the church hierarchy thinks that it deserves some sort of easier life, which I think might not fit quite with the Sky Children's perception of the missionary role.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think they would be doing about that? Would they be going to secure something? They're trying to change things internally?
Increasingly, I think the family is driven by the church calling on the children when it needs it. So I think the implication is probably that they need more members of the church. I think they need to create a larger clergy to solve that, to give their senior priests and priests more downtime.
How would they get those people?
I think that's about looking at the population centers and recruiting them. So, which are the split, the archipelago, and the visitors, though I've extended the range of the damned to overlap the visitors and the blight now. So I fear that the visitors are not going to be the logical place. So the City of Glass is still quite populous, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think, and is that nobody is currently at odds with the City of Glass, are they? The River Folk kind of solved some of their problem there, I thought.
Yeah, we're sort of kind of in control of it at the minute, as much as, you know, a group of anarchists is in control of anything. But yeah.
Well, that seems to me to be the logical place, I think, to recruit more members of the priesthood, because Quartz believes that Dew of the River Folk is his guide, and therefore it seems logical to seek those that would be guides from among the River Folk.
So there are two ways to read this. I think just looking at the move, and you may have a playbook move that works differently with this. One is conduct diplomacy to work with Reach, and that would provide you information that you then have to take another step to work with. So it's a couple of step process. Now, if you want to be more direct about it, there is claim by force, where you direct your family to seize or maintain control, and there's a cost. It doesn't necessarily have to be entirely a physical. It can be, leverage and pressure and intimidation and all of those kinds of things. So
I think it will be diplomacy, because I think that the church has recognized that the rather crude methods adopted in the Second Age were not effective. So I think we'll go conduct diplomacy with Reach, and the object will be it's difficult. I don't a meeting with one of their VIPs.
I think you're looking for information, right? You're trying to get something from them.
Yes.
Okay.
That perhaps we could set up a seminary at the City of Glass.
Let's have you roll with Reach.
Now, my Reach is 3 at the start of this age. That's the maximum, isn't it?
That is the maximum.
Couldn't possibly go wrong.
Absolutely.
Whew, close thing.
Oh.
That is 9.
So you will go and speak with them, and they will agree to establish a seminary. They don't have that kind of a religious focus, so you'll definitely be able to draw on that. And who do you call on to get assistance?
I think it has to be the riverfolk, doesn't it? Because they are, as much as anybody, in control of this space. So we need their good offices if they're prepared to give them.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Then I think what you will see is you have begun to build a seminary. You've begun to push the word of the Sky Children, and you think with just a little more work, you should be able to convert that actually into recruits. You've laid the groundwork for things. You need to figure out what the real message is, what the message of your grace is going to be that you're going to bring to these people. Sound reasonable?
It does. And I think that means that the riverfolk now have 5 treaty on the Sky Children. We are the riverfolk's bitches whenever they want us.
We saw how well that worked last time with the burning down of treaty differentials. Let's come to then our seeds. The seeds of sunset, change, transformed by their experiences. What do you have needs and surpluses right now?
Well, the 2 needs that I have right now are idle and culture. I was wondering if I could just change idle to badgered, since I don't see us really being idle since we're being attacked all the time. Like, I think that is probably when
So safety?
shifted. I could change it to safety. That would work.
Yeah, this one, I think that's probably what you're aiming towards. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I would say safety and culture are our 2 needs. And then we have energy, leadership, and weaponry as our surpluses.
Yeah, so that's a mood +1. So you're in okay shape. It's just a matter of figuring out where to apply the force.
Right.
Now more than anything.
And I had one question last time. I think when Radiso left you and moved over to the memorial library that none of us can pronounce.
Right.
Did we get power armor for that? I think you said something like that, and I didn't know if I should cross off like maybe our scholars, since we're not being scholarly, then just so I have 3 things.
Yeah.
Would that work?
Yeah, I think so. It potentially gives you access to having that, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And then should I cross off the scholars?
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
What? Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, I had a couple of things. I guess the first question is, if Quartz has given us the information from his vision, that would kind of definitely direct us in one direction. If Quartz is sitting on that information, then I would probably go another direction.
So let's have a meeting, a conversation. I assume in the capital. I assume at the cathedral.
Because that's where I have to be to have the vision. And I think I would, though there would be no sense of the children hoarding this information, because it is holy. I will remind you to protect those in need, to confront evil, and sacrifice for the greater good. So no, certainly, I think we're probably preaching that the end is nigh.
And what is Axel's reaction when some people among your faith say that Quartz guy? I know you've had some bad dealings with him before, but he's at the cathedral past prophesizing the doom of things. Will you go talk to him?
Yeah, I'll go talk to him. I mean, he hasn't been right about everything, so he thought I was dead when I wasn't. I'll go talk to him.
Don't stab him unless you have to.
I'm not going to stab him.
Okay.
It gets all messy when those creatures get stabbed. Their blood's hard to wash off.
Fair enough. So you will arrive and describe what you look like.
Yeah, I had imagined Radisol as more of kind of like very fatigue, camouflaged and kind of fatigued looking. I think Axel is basically in a uniform all the time. And I think this is kind of just a dark blue uniform, maybe. I think there's some vines and patterns of flowers kind of woven in at a few places, but it's very simple other than that. And I think they have some pieces of their power armor, they wear them so they can just suit up whenever they are. So they have a couple of like pieces attached to them, some silvery looking gadgets.
So
and a mask.
Yeah, this masked semi-armored figure arrives to speak with you, Quartz, in relation to the visions that you've had.
Welcome, member of the Seeds. I do not recognize your appearance.
It's been that long, has it, Quartz? And they will move their mask to the side and say, "It's, I guess, nice to see you again after our soiree down south." And their face is very smooth, like all of the seeds, but almost like the nose wasn't fully formed, and like, because I think they can change their look a little bit if they want to, and Axel just never has the time or wants to do work on it, so they're just very smooth.
Among the Seeds, there are few distinguishing features, but I think I recognize the voice. Are you indeed Axel of the Seeds?
Yes, I am.
Then truly the presence is to be thanked for your survival.
Well, I think something every day, that's for sure. Anyway, Quartz, what is this stuff you're spewing about the end being nigh?
Oh, Axel, it is not stuff. It is the truth of the future. There is a threat that leads me to suggest that this will be the end of this wonder that is a city.
Is this something more than usual? I mean, we've been under threat and being attacked for the last, I don't know, since I was a kid.
Oh, Axel, you do not know the meaning of war. You have fought in battles. You have not fought a war. There is war coming for you.
And okay, who? Let's just start there. Let's get the basics under control here.
In the vision that the presence granted me as its prophet in the homeland, I saw tall towers from the before times surrounded by creatures, I think is the word I would use, for they are not entirely human. And they are experimenting with some of the tools that the Seeds are known for. I believe that they are capturing science and intend to take that which the Seeds possess.
They're going to come take the city from us? Is that what you're saying?
I believe that is an inevitability.
And who is this they, these creatures?
I think you know the answer to that, Axel. You have fought in battles against them. Indeed, it was in a skirmish against them that I believed you had been taken to the heart of the presence.
Oh. Okay, let me get this straight. You're saying the Warren has some tech that they're going to come here and blast us apart with? I mean, they're savage creatures, yeah, and they're smarter than your average crocodile out there, but now you're saying they're using tech?
They have developed. They are, to use your crude phrasing, much smarter than a crocodile.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Just so I know how serious to take this, how often do you get visions, Quartz, and how often do they come true?
This is my first true vision. I have had faith and belief, but now I have certainty.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, thanks for your time, Quartz. I appreciate it.
I would suggest that you talk to the river folk, for if I am not mistaken, a town that they have established significant links with will be first to fall. It lies on the route from the Warren to this wonder.
We'll do that. One last thing. There's, you know, when you went down south and you used that crazy device to like blow some stuff up, that other mission I've heard about. Any chance I could loan that off of you, that device thing that you got?
The power of faith is indeed tremendous, Axel. And when you find faith, perhaps you will be granted the power.
Fantastic. Helpful as always.
Until then, Quartz of the Children remains a friend of the seeds, for they are our hope for the future.
For us as well.
You are muted, Lowell.
And you were muted when you were telling me I was muted, so that's a double mute. So we'll double plus unmute, and David, we'll come to you. Let's look at what the river folk are up to, and then maybe we can connect that up with what's going on with the seeds.
Sure thing.
So what are you up to?
So yeah. First thing I'd forgotten. We because of the university, I am going to gain a surplus of culture, the seeds also gain that.
Nice. So tell us about where your surpluses and needs are.
So I have a lot of both at the minute, actually. I have a surplus in transport, a surplus in weaponry, which is kind of tied to our continuing hold over the City of Glass, a surplus in trade and barter goods, artisans, prestige, and culture. Contrasting with that, our needs are scouts, land, crops, and leadership.
So that's still, if I'm reading that right, +3, right?
Yes, it is. Although I think one of the things that the river folk are going to start doing is building towards a wonder, which will see a few of those surpluses vanish. Because I think we're going to move towards the Great Network project, which is kind of like the birth of rationalism type thing. It seems quite fitting with us running the university in the city, and because it's also to do with communication, which is kind of part of our thing.
So what are you doing towards that? Are you hunting for more resources towards that? What are you working on? Trying to assuage needs?
So I think it's probably going to be looking for surpluses. I just double checking which ones we need for it. So we're a good. We've got some of them already. I think it's probably going to be working out how we can get a surplus of science. I think. I'm just going to check that. I can't just steal that off of somebody. No, I can't.
Well, we have established that there is a book. We established that there is some materials within Project Sunbeam. If you wanted to, you could send people there. We could have you seize by force to take hold of what is there in Project Sunbeam.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm willing to give that a go.
Now, just to remind you, because this is a family move, if you want someone to help you, you need to ask ahead of time for the lend aid. If you want to spend treaty to get them to assist.
As I've hinted in the chat, the church is certainly prepared to offer leadership in return for influence, or perhaps less influence over us.
Cool. I may take you up on that offer, but yes, I think for the time being, yeah, I'm going to call in a debt on the Sky Children,
Okay.
to back up our play on the to yeah, sort of brave the dangers of the Project Sunbeam.
Do you agree then, Sky Children?
If I understand, that would mean that the treaty you hold on the children would drop by 1, and we would certainly back you up.
Then you may go ahead and roll the treaty that you have with the River Folk, Sky Children, capped at 3.
Well, I only have 2.
Oh, okay.
So let's try that. 7, 8, 6, 7, 8.
Okay. So if there's fallout, you will also be exposed to those issues.
It is holy to protect those in need.
But that gives you fleeting advantage with grasp. So you send your people in. Is due at the front of that expedition.
I think Dew might not actually be on this one. Actually, I think this has been delegated. As I said, he's kind of stepped back a bit from the limelight in the family these days. But yeah, that is a total of, I think, 8. It's either 7 or 8. I can't remember if my grasp is 1. So yeah, that's a total of 8.
So you're going to get a hold of the science that you desire, if that is what you desire from there. But you need to choose 2 costs for claim by force.
So I think
Can I just say the Sky Children would be happy to be to take some of the strain.
Yeah. So I think that we'll get a need of the GM's choice. And go on. Someone can take 2 treaty on us.
Okay.
I'm wondering actually if it might be the words failing me again. If it might be the wave, because they've obviously been dealing with Project Sunbeam as well. So this might cause them some issues.
That is certainly fair. I can adjust Leandro's sheet to give him 2 treaty on you, which will take him up to a 3. Looks like on his side, and then a need. I think that this will actually require the use of the sort of heavy, more sophisticated weaponry that you have in reserve. That I think that is going to cost you that surplus to be able to get a hold of this one.
Cool. Yeah, and as a result of that, we will lose kind of our dominant position in the City of Glass, as we have to kind of realign our focus.
Would it be reasonable, as part of my lend aid on 7 to 9, your family is exposed to any danger, retribution, or unforeseen consequences? I think it's quite reasonable for the wave to take 2 treaty on us as well.
That seems
Because-
reasonable. Yeah, I'm good with that. So I will put 2 and 2 there. I'll put that on his. So let's come back to then in the wake of this expedition, which has gathered. What is the science that you have gotten from this?
So yeah, I think that it's a lot of research, primarily some documentation, tomes, including, I think, specifically the I think it was the
Archive transcripts.
the archive transcripts we determined were there, and yes, so it's things like that. I think there's also maybe I think we maybe also find some sort of like diagnostics tools and stuff, because this was from kind of a big interstellar communications network type. Well, not communications maybe, but so I think maybe just some like long range radio equipment and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's
radio
helping
telescopes, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Let's come back then. Let's figure out. We know, Axel, you know that the river folk have just completed their operations. You know that in the course of this, they spent a lot of their military force, their strength to get a hold of this. So would Axel communicate with the river folk? Would it be at the higher level diplomacy, or is there something else you want to do?
I think it would be higher level diplomacy.
Okay.
I don't think Axel's cut out for talking nice.
Then what is it that your family is saying or putting to the river folk or asking them?
We know that they have. I mean, they travel all up and down river. And so I think what we want to get from them is some data, some information on some of these visions that Quartz has had and what this technology could be from the Warren, if they've heard anything like that.
Okay. So this is conduct diplomacy. So let's have you roll reach.
Reach 1 is a 7.
Good. You've broken the curse of the rolls versus the Warren there. So you get a data. Someone, a third party, helps make arrangements on this. So you need to give them a treaty, and that can be a PC faction or an NPC faction.
Can I give it, I mean, to the river folk or a third party?
A third party, actually, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to give the Dancing Wave something, but they've already got 6 on me. So what if it's the what if it's the Crater people or the City of Gladys? Yeah.
Sure.
Which one?
They are a group there.
Okay.
They're the Crater people are tightly aligned with the church, but yeah, you can give them a treaty.
Okay.
So this is for the river folk to say now, David, what information can you provide to them about the Warren, or about the path that they have to take, or the areas? What information can you give them?
Yeah, so I think that we've I think actually maybe what it is that we've seen some of these creatures from the Warren they've been kind of ranging quite fast, of almost like they're scouting out, and the odd one has been spotted here and there, though not en masse sort of thing. And I think maybe what we've noticed is that they seem to be unaffected by the poison of the dead mire. So that may not provide the sort of natural defense towards stuff coming up north that it might otherwise, because they can just sort of cut straight through it rather than having to sort of take a route around it.
I'll add something to that. I think that's great. The other thing I'm going to add that the river folk would have seen, because they are close to it, they will recognize that some of the tech that the Warren has acquired looks a little bit like dancing wave tech, but it also looks a little bit like the stuff that the damned have.
Boy. Fun times.
Does that seem like a fair answer for you, Rye?
Sure. Quartz, can you remind us kind of what the tech of the damned looks like?
I think it's a lot like the Sky Children, so it's crystal based. But I think probably what we're seeing is crystal based power sources being used to run the dancing wave technology. The worst of all possible worlds.
Those black crystals that we've seen before. I imagine that the damned have managed to modify the dancing wave things into kind of spell parsers for these creatures to assist them.
Can I just clarify?
Sure.
The dead mire is still an obstacle, but have we dealt with the drowned? I've put a speculative cross across them.
Yes, they are destroyed. Dead mire remains unpleasant, but the damned, it was you yourself, Quartz, who helped put an end to the drowned.
I just want to check that, our liturgy is encompassing that accurately.
Absolutely. So this brings us to the moment of close to that disaster. Warnings have been given. That has been laid out there, but whether people take it as seriously as they ought to is another question. Though Axel and some of the leadership have. So this comes to your role move there, Alan. It's there is a day when the sky is red, when the clouds come over and there's heat lightning rolling in over onto the lake, and then, like a shot out of a Peter Jackson film, we see the lineup of the troops of the Warren, and the same day as the ones who have been in the city causing problems, raising havoc, take that to the next level, and we see the beasts charging towards the city to seize it, possibly to destroy it. Tell me, what does Quartz do? How are you able? You can save the people, or you can save the city.
I think it's about saving the people. And I think that we open the cathedral, this great amphitheater, which probably by this time has grown, actually. And we know that it had defenses installed in the last age, ironically, from the wave. but I think that that's not enough. So Quartz, I think, will strain himself to extend his mantle, this glowing umbrella of protection, to encompass all the people who seek sanctuary in the cathedral.
I think you can do this, but I think this is that there's going to be a cost to your family in this. And I think I'm going to have you roll hold together.
Okay.
They come in, they come over the walls, they scramble over, they have very basic magics, very basic spells that they're using to supplement, dancing lights, magic missile, web, but they're using those to good basic effect. A few of them have cantrips, but they are utilizing the most basic of spell energies to give them entry.
There's thousands of them, Sergeant Major. There's thousands of them. Okay, so my mood is currently 1, 2, 3 is 2.
It's pretty good.
Yes, it could be a lot. Used to be a lot worse.
Yeah.
So 2. I'm just trying. Is there any way to beef this up?
Yes.
Yes.
You can spend tech.
Yeah.
If you have tech, you can spend that to give yourself advantage on the roll.
I have 2 tech. I'll reduce that to 1. And I'm just wondering, because I keep accumulating grace and I can't find anything to do with it.
Let's look at that and see.
Whenever you help another family perform a holy action, gain grace. Well, when you willingly accept a need in the course of performing a holy action, gain grace. When you refuse to perform a holy action, lose grace. Once per age, yeah, okay, that's a new commandment. The serene won't rest until. Hang on! I will not abandon you. The serene won't rest until the whole world has ascended. When you zoom in, no, its grace is only useful for that.
There are 2 moves that you don't have that are used to spend grace. The Island of Apples and the Pilgrims of the Silver City, both, and Dreams of Heaven. You have 3 of them that would use that grace that you've built up.
C'est la vie.
You're muted.
Roll with advantage +2.
Okay. I'm not going to say it, but you know what I would say.
That is 13.
That is a 13. So this will give you surplus morale. What does that look like? What do we see on screen? These things come, they seize the city, they tear down the university, they tear down the walls, they're tearing down everything, but you get the people out of there.
I think that this vast mantle, and I think probably we start with Quartz, extending a mantle around those that first come looking for sanctuary. And then as we begin to shepherd them out of the cathedral to safety, probably perhaps using the riverfolk boats to get them away from the city as it burns. One after another, additional sky children pop into existence, and every time one appears, the mantle grows, and then it grows. And so we see these ravening beasts tearing through the city. But this technology, this magic, has no power against the strength of faith that the mantle deploys.
Absolutely, and I think we'll see the last of them going out as the machines that draw the heat and the energy from the volcano that power the city. We will see that series of explosions that will rock the lake, and we'll see the plume of the volcano, not yet a threat, but the cracks are forming there, and we'll hear the howls, the ulan howls of the beasts within the city. Let's come to you there, Axel. you know that there is a leader now. People have seen that there is a leader to these creatures of the Warren. We've seen that they have magics, perhaps the source. Let's look at your roll move, which is when you take a mission to hunt down a dangerous target. Does this seem like a dangerous target?
Let's go.
Okay. Then what I want to do is I want to check in on David for the river folk move, just in case they want to do something. Then I want to take a break, and when we come back, I want to zoom in on Axel and their suicide mission to hunt down the leader of the Warren. Does that seem fair? David, in the wake of this disaster, what is Dew's reaction? What is the reaction of the river folk?
So I think that what I might actually do here, because I think it could potentially help with both. I'm going to use Dew has the move writing of the oracles. It's when you plan a grand societal change, study one of your tomes, and tell the GM how its law can be used to change one surplus into another, or do some other things. And I think that maybe Dew is going to discover a way of transforming one surplus into a surplus of engineering, which both can be used for their sort of future plans, but also possibly for helping to repair the city in the wake of the devastation.
Sure. And what does that look like? What are you transforming into this engineering?
So actually, I think it might be a way of transforming our surplus of transportation into engineering. I think it's a way of like repurposing stuff from the from our ships to kind of sort of jury rig construction vehicles and that sort of thing.
Maybe you're pulling up some of the bits and pieces from the old ships.
Yes,
that we have up there that we weren't military, but were definitely transports and things like that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. For that move specifically, you get to say how long the process will take and what must be sacrificed.
I think that what will be sacrificed is that right now your people are kind of overburdened, like you're overtaxed with refugees.
Yeah.
And I think you absolutely, like, if you don't get land taken care of, if you don't get that issue solved soon, then it could rip the very foundations of your society apart. There are just too many people.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Let's take 5, and when we come back, we will deal with Axel's journey. So I have a question for you, Axel. We knew that before we had this kind of scholarly review committee, this group that were kind of in charge of the seeds. Who is in charge now?
I think it's still the same structure, but I think the individuals have been shifted out.
Okay.
And so as where before there was a lot of interest in, dissertations on things like old one tech and influences on such and such were like the highlights of things. Now it's like applications of the Sky Children's mantle to defense technologies, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just shifted in that way.
So we've moved out a leadership invested in theoretical science and liberal arts, and brought in people from the business school and engineering.
And the military-industrial complex.
Industrial complex. Okay.
Yes.
So you're called in the wake of this. I imagine, somewhere in the distance we see the fires burning in the city, and the leaders say, this attack was a grave loss to us, but we have gained intelligence in the doing of this. There is a leader at the heart of this. There is a member of the warren of these things that possesses a superior intelligence. And we believe that by striking at them, we can disrupt their networks, we can disrupt their structures enough to force them back out of the city, and perhaps build a line of defense for the future. But to do this will require a group willing to go into the burning city, to go in amongst the creatures of the warren. We have developed a cloak that will conceal, we believe, from the senses that the warren bring to bear. The sense of smell, the empathetic sense that they seem to possess of one another. And we will gift this to you and the team that you can bring to do this. Can you do this, Axel?
I can do it, but I'm going to need the new prototype body armor.
All right. We will speak to the librarians, and we will have it brought.
Fantastic.
So let me ask this then. Axel is going in. Do any of the other PCs wish to join in this, or do you wish to do quick characters?
As this is Quartz's swan song, it would be inappropriate for him to absent himself.
Okay. Do?
So I think if Axel specifically asks you to go along, he will do, but it's not the sort of thing he'd necessarily volunteer himself for. So I'm happy to play a quick character as well. It depends if you think Axel would.
I think Axel knows, like, he's not a strategist, but he would feel that Do has a more important role than kind of going on a suicide mission, especially since there's so many refugees and other things that are going to need kind of leadership capacity. And even though he's been shoulder to shoulder with doing the trenches, I think he wouldn't ask, or they wouldn't ask him.
All right. So go ahead and make a quick character. And then we will bring our trio, our dirty trio, in to go behind enemy lines here.
And I'm going to add brutal and aberrant to my weapon.
Okay.
And mantle and hardened to the armor.
Okay.
And that, and then I can spend a point of tech to also give that to the quick character. Maybe there's two copies.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, Rai, you asked a question in the chat. I'm not sure I understand it.
Well, that was when we still had a wonder. At the beginning of the age, you're supposed to get a surplus for culture or knowledge.
But that is gone. They burnt. They burnt the library at Alexandria, and that is gone.
This is a lesson to the church about the passing nature of stones.
All things are transient. I haven't really looked at what the Enclave's inherited moves are. Oh, you got some good ones there. That's right.
Yeah, I'm torn between.
There's some really good ones in there.
I'm torn between the pain box and the hot rod. I think those seem the most appropriate for the mission we're being sent on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to go for the. I think I'm going to go for the pain box. That sounds suitably unpleasant.
All right.
And I'm right, aren't I, that you can cite surpluses as additional tags for outfit?
Yes. So it's under family moves. It's called Tool Up. When you zoom in on a character, you may equip with any of their family assets, customized to suit their circumstances. For each of your surpluses, pick a relevant benefit, and you can add tags, or you can also get data. Is another useful thing. I ran Legacy on Sunday, and we started in a quick action, and they got to the high point where they were just about to convince these people to join them. They had a character who had a shape change thing, and that was the point at which Tyler rolled 2 1s, and Patrick went to help out and rolled a 3. And those two quick characters, got torn limb from limb and killed. while the other two PCs ran for the hills. So tell us what you're imagining. Tell us what this quick character is, this third person of the trio. Who are they that is willing to go along with Axel, is willing to go along with this weird, legendary outsider, Quartz?
Yeah, so this is Tendril. They are even for the blah words, even for the enclave, even for the seeds, they are like covered in their clothing. They're sort of like, they've maybe even kind of got some bandaging wrapped around sort of underneath the clothes that they wear. And you can see very little of them. They are quite tall but very rangy with it. And they are they have probably worked with Axel before. They are quite a competent. So taken the wrong. They are quite a competent hunter in their own right. Obviously not as skilled as Axel, but they have some uncanny abilities. They are possibly one of these members of the seeds who have gone more into the sort of esoteric side of study. They are, you know, that they have that air of kind of being not quite right about them, and that's possibly the reason why they've either volunteered or been selected for this mission, because they are just a little bit off. And as well as the sort of the equipment they've been granted for this mission, they also have this little metal cube that they, almost like a Rubik's cube, that they kind of are constantly fretting with as they even as they're sort of like stalking through the wastes.
Yeah. So you get your little mint cube and get that all set there, paint box. Let me ask Axel, when they bring this armor to you, what does that look like? What does this librarian power armor look like?
I think it's almost a little bit legionary, like bronze everywhere with lots of vines and kind of seeds, emblems wrapped throughout all of it. But I think it also kind of, when it moves, you can kind of see a shimmer of kind of gold electricity kind of flickering across the surface there. Yes, very seed punk. Thank you. Yeah, it's so I think it's kind of shimmery.
Excellent. We would also have accepted agripunk, but either one. So what is the path? What is the method that Axel, that you and Quartz and Tendril are going to use to get into this city held by the enemy?
I think we have I think the seeds have also kind of maybe have a prototype submarine that they've been working on,
Okay.
like a little 4-man thing that they've been kind of tooling around, and maybe they've been designing it also for Dew's people for some of their operations in the rivers and stuff. So it's kind of a little spy thing that they use to
Remember, you
come-
just need 3 man and a prayer.
And it's a prototype, and we've actually seen the Riverfolk have used these submarine things. That's how they broke the City of Glass. Was with these infiltration things. So I do think, though, we are having you do wasteland survival to move that distance to arrive in the city. So let's go ahead and have you roll, or someone roll, with Steel to be the person who leads on this.
I've got one. Quartz, you any better?
I'm also on one, so I'll defer to Axel on this.
With great power.
Very well then. Let's see.
You can spend data to give yourself advantage on
Yeah,
a roll.
I think I'll spend data here. And this will just be like our knowledge of the city and the waterways that we have extensively mapped. And we have, this is the map, right? Turn here, learn there. All of the different air ducts we have to go through to get right where we want to go. 9.
That is a 9. So pick one thing. You lose something, a member of your group is hurt or sick, or an obstacle or threat is blocking your way back.
Or call for aid.
That's true. Because
yeah. Quartz, do you want to roll call for aid?
Yes, because I've got 4 surpluses to play with. I've invested 1 of them in my weapon and 2 of them in my mantle, leaving I think barter goods is left to spend on data. So I would like to have a data, then spend a data to roll with advantage on call for aid, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Roll with... I think the appropriate stat, therefore, is probably force.
Okay.
Because I think at the point where it looks like we're going to run into trouble, a quick invocation to the presence, and Quartz arrives behind the potential observers, and they're gone.
Okay.
So with advantage +2. 12.
That is a 12. So that will definitely boost that up. So Axel, you choose one of the 10 plus benefits for wasteland survival then.
I think we'll go with a secret. Details on a threat.
So I think in moving around through here, you will gather intelligence and be able to determine exactly where the command is of this place, and that they have taken the labs at the university, and that they are there, and their leader seems to have settled himself essentially in the chancellor's office there, and has taken control of it there, and you will get a sense that, I mean, there are guards posted because there are still some people around in the city, in hiding, and some people that have been taken prisoner, and things like that. But I think, yeah, you have a good sense of that. Tell me where the chancellor's office is within the building.
I think it's actually on the ground floor, but I think it's like a little bit deeper into the building. I think you have to kind of pass through like a grander hall, and then it's located kind of beyond that. And the hall is used for like the council meetings or something. So you have to go through that hall to get there.
Great stone floors that echo when you walk across them, the big hall, to get that ponderous feel as you walk into the building. So we will kind of cut to a shot of you three coming up into the grounds of the university. Some of the buildings are smoldering. There are bodies strewn about, and there are these beasts that are walking around. Great. Some are more lion-like, some of them are more hound-like. There are variations to them. Many of them have these almost like collars that seem to be those devices that they have to do the very basic magics, and they are sniffing and patrolling. So let's turn to Tendril. Tendril, how will you assist in getting people across this?
So yeah, I think that Tendril is going to I think is going to kind of lead the group to kind of skirt around sort of the greater concentrations of these beasts, and just try and find sort of an alternate route into this building.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll Forge a Path. Roll with force.
Sure thing. So I think as they do this, they will kind of spin the metal cube in their hand, and a sharp spike will come out of it and stick into their hand. A couple of drops of blood fall onto the box, and there's just kind of an odd feeling, or a bit like almost static electricity, as they lead forwards. And I'm going to mark a harm to roll with advantage.
So I imagine if we actually saw your skin, we would see the marks, the scars.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Where have I gone? And that's a total of 9.
That is a 9. Now, you can call for 8 if you want, or you can go with the 9, which means you have to pick 2 from Forge a Path.
It is holy to protect those in need.
Yeah, go on. I will call for aid. And I will again call on Quartz, I think, on this one, because I think that this is a bit more because he's sort of invoking kind of weird magical stuff in it. It's probably more Quartz's area of expertise.
Then I think I will. I have this bizarre device, this experimental energy projector, but I'd like to, rather than rolling with lore to actually damage someone, I'd like to try to diffuse the difficulty that Tendril finds themselves in.
Yeah, so it'll still be call for aid, but I'll let you do whatever stat you want for that.
Then I'll go with law this time, I think.
Okay.
And I think I will burn another point of data.
Oh, delicious. Spend those
In
resources.
order, yeah, well,
Can't take it with you.
exactly. And as no one will be playing the Sky Children next week, they need to go with a bang. So 8, 9, 9.
9. So that will push it up to a 10 plus, which means you only pick one of the results from Forge a Path.
Sure thing. I think I'm going to go with. No. Tell you what, we'll go for the causing trouble for later. I'll say that our path back will be blocked.
I think as you move through here, as you are heading towards this, and again, it's night. There's smoke, haze. Buildings are still crackling and burning. There's still sounds of the callings, like the beasts calling a response down that echoes down the streets that you're in. You're moving along, but you will also realize that while you're heading to the chancellor's office, while you're heading to where this leader is, there seems to be some kind of gathering going on that you've managed to stumble into, and that you may get in, but you're probably going to have to fight your way out through a horde of these things. Now, I think that this is a good point for us to activate your move for your Hunter's Lore roll, if you feel like you want to study that sitch, and that's voluntarily on your part, Axel. It is a way to get some additional info as you kind of start to move into the buildings here.
Which one did you have in mind?
Well, you've got the other one. I imagine is once you actually see Red and Tooth and Claw.
Okay.
When you actually see them. But Hunter's Lore allows you to see some things, and then also gives you advantage.
Yeah, I'll do that. We can't spend tech for advantage, right? Just data.
Correct. Tech is a family level advantage.
All right. 7.
So that is a 7. So you get one question.
I guess what's we'll say, what does it hunger for?
Revenge. This is all for revenge.
Okay.
You can look around and you can tell from the tracks and things like this, there's no plan for dominance, for control. While they are smart, while they are intelligent, while they've been boosted up, still at core, it's revenge for that first incident, and then that compounded over time. And we will see.
Is it possible to unearth forgotten lore to find out? Is it obvious where that revenge is focused?
Oh yeah. They want to kill the seeds.
Okay,
they've seen the
so
markers of the seeds. Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
The repeated skirmishes and scuffles. They have some sense. They've learned that there are other peoples, and there are other peoples that are good to them, like the damned. And there are peoples that they don't like because they helped the seeds, like the Sky Children and the River Folk. But their ire, their wrath is squarely focused on the seeds. And you will go this hall, you make your way through, and you can see where the chancellor's office is, and there are almost like like statues outside of a library. There are a pair of these Warren creatures seated before the doors there. You can tell the doors have been kind of smashed around and then pushed back into place because these things are big. And they are seated. And Axel, you fought the Warren before, and you've got that camo up, and you're shocked that, I mean, they can't smell you. You're so used to them being able to pick up your scent, but they seem right now like they can't catch a whiff of any of the three of you.
Does Tendril also have that ability, or do we need to be
It's
worried about
it's
Tendril's
equipment
smell?
that's provided for the whole group. Yeah, that was part of Axel's role. So tell me
Axel
what
of the
you want to do.
Seeds.
Yes.
I am conscious that on a previous occasion, I might have been seen to abandon you to your fate. How can I make good this debt?
If we accomplish what we're trying to do here today, Court, I will consider the debt paid. If we can eliminate this threat to my people, I will have done my service. And I believe if you support us in that, I will have no more second thoughts about you.
That is encouraging to know. But is there a way in which I can reduce the danger you would face now?
Perhaps if you draw those two away, that will let me and Tendril strike.
Very good. And I think that Quartz will, using his camo, simply blend into the shadows and move away to the end of a corridor in sight of this door.
Okay.
And then we'll attempt, I think, to defuse the guards.
Absolutely.
By unleashing his terrible swift sword of judgment, ranged, deliberately to miss and attract them in this direction.
Absolutely.
So I think that is
Misdirection.
Misdirection, which sadly is sway.
It is.
But we have that one tech left. The one data left.
One data left. Okay. Are you going to spend
because I
that
know
for this?
that these creatures are big, but a little stupid. So -1 with advantage. That is a 5. Call for aid.
Would one of you two like to help with this misdirection? He's going to draw them off. That is going to happen.
In
Tendril,
which case, withdraw the call for aid. Right.
Tendril, do you want to do that?
Yeah. No.
No.
Yeah, I will. I was considering how mission focused I felt like being, but I think I will assist with this.
Then let's have you assist with the trick. Have you roll sway.
Assist, maybe putting this strongly. That's a 7.
That is a 7. So that will push up to a 7 to 9. What is the choose one on the diffuse that you want?
Yes. I think the danger will soon return, so we draw them in that direction, but they may well be back at that door by the time that Axel emerges.
Quartz, you've headed off. What have you done to also draw them off, Tendril, as the two of you now are leading them away?
I'm wondering if it's maybe less that I've drawn them off, but maybe I've like taken up a position to guard the door when they come back, to let Axel sort of get in and take on the leader.
Absolutely. So they are bounding. They are beasts that sort of full range run that is in slow motion, as if to show how fast they are as you take off, Quartz, as they are rushing after you. Tendril, you'll kind of get in, you maybe throw something to help that, and then you kind of move into position. It is noisy. Axel, tell me what it looks like when you go in.
So Axel just smashes that broken door to the side. The mantle on his armor just blazes full golden, just like the Sky Children's mantles. He's been studying their technology and has stolen this piece for defense for himself.
Okay.
And got it into the prototype, and just steps in. Both his hands are powered up, full glowing balls of blue fire. And I guess that's when we fiercely assault.
And I think you will see the Chancellor's office is big, but everything has been kind of knocked to the side. The desks and everything have been scattered. There are clearly things, people maybe that this leader has been playing with. It is almost a centaur in its own way, like the body of a lion, and then a torso, sort of more human, but the second, like a third set of, like a third pair of limbs, that kind of a torso and a kind of lion-like head, and it has equipment on it, and it begins to move, and you can hear it invoking the magic that it has, and it's blinking from point to point as it comes towards you. Let's have you fiercely assault.
I'd like to do two things first.
Yes, let's have you do your read on the situation.
First, can I use deep knowledge to get an advantage on Red and Tooth and Claw? So
absolutely. Well, you'll actually automatically get it from Hunter's Lore because.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll roll that, and then I'll keep the deep knowledge advantage for a second here. Okay, so advantage, and that is with force. Eight, 9.
9. So you will get 2 hold. So the fight's begun. What do you want to do?
I think the first thing that will happen is Axel's had some experience fighting with these things, and this is not the first one that's come at him kind of blinking like this. And so he kind of does a couple of feints and then discharges one of his hands right where he's standing, but rolls to the side right when it's going to attack. Mm-hmm. And I'll spend that hold to carve something valuable from my target, and that'll be either their ability to keep blinking or
you could just cut the spell parser that they use to do this. You'll hit that and it'll explode off of them. It kind of turns, comes at you. It's a ton of muscle and claws, and it will bear down on you.
And so the second thing is to just blow their arm right off.
Okay.
So that'll be my second hold to slice away their weaponry, giving them -1
Probably
harm.
a good call. Let's have you roll fiercely assault.
Okay. And then I'll use my Horus Birth by the Fall here from Deep Knowledge, and I have to tell you a fact about them. And I think that the fact about them is that they don't feel pain. So even though I've caused this thing severe damage, it doesn't really.
The nerve system on these things, they can shut down their pain receptors.
Ah, yes, that's a 12.
That is a 12 on a, so you will hurt, capture, drive off, roll force. On a hit, you do it. Choose 2, and I choose 1. So you're automatically inflicting harm. And what's your harm with the weapon?
I'm not sure what harm. It's they're just ranged hidden, but I added brutal and aberrant to it.
So I think that's probably 3 harm.
Okay.
Okay.
So then I will also add inflict savage and terrifying harm, frightening and dismaying your foes. And I'll find out some new info and get 1 data.
Okay. I think that you will hit it with these blasts. We think these things hit you even as you're blasting into it, and you take a chunk out of it, and it shuts down that nerve center, so it doesn't even realize just how much you've cut into it. And now there's blood everywhere. It is still up, but it will do, even with the reduced harm, it will do 3 harm to you.
Okay. I have tough and mantle and hardened. What do I else do again?
The tough and hardened, I think, tough provides environmental and plus an armor. Hardened provides an armor. Mantle means you can use it for a group. So you'll reduce it down by 2.
By 2, okay.
But its claws rake into, there's that screech as it goes across and tears these gouges into your librarian armor, and you're thrown back, and it is moving again on towards you to try and finish this exchange up.
Okay. Then I will.
I'm going to pause you for just 1 second, because Tendril, you will hear the sound of one of these guards coming back, running back to where you're at. You can hear the sound of the melee going on inside, but one of the 2 has heard and is running towards you. What do you do?
Yes. So I think I once again hold this cube aloft, and I start focusing on it, and I think some sort of, again, crackling energy starts spilling out of it onto my hands and around me. And I think as it's almost on top of me, I reach out and blast it with this, the strange energies of the cube.
So you have 2 ways we can read this. We can do this as a fiercely assault to take it out of the situation permanently, or you can do diffuse to just try to temporarily halt it with the pain. What do you think?
Actually, diffuse probably makes sense in this case, because the pain box is specifically non-lethal.
Sure.
I think maybe a diffuse would make sense.
Either roll with steel or lore, with a quick action, or with improvised tech.
I will go for steel.
Okay.
That's a 9.
That is a 9. Choose 1.
Yeah, I think that again, I'll pick that the danger will soon return. I think I think the intensity of the pain box is enough that it kind of shuts to shut down like enough of its nerve receptors to ignore the pain. It essentially paralyzes itself.
Staggers back. It's trying to get like the basic motor functions back up, and you've given yourself enough breath. Quartz, there's still one that's pursuing you. You've seen the other one peel off, but then you'll hear it get back to where Tendril is, and this thing roar, and you can tell that Tendril has dealt with it.
Because I've been waiting to use this picture, just bear with me.
Sure.
Do you see that?
Yes.
I would like to find a survivor that I have to protect as this thing closes on me.
Absolutely. There are prisoners here. And you kind of come across one who's desperately hiding in a corner, sees you in terror because you don't look right.
I mean, these are inhabitants of the city, so
right.
So
they've probably seen you. Yeah. So yeah,
I will appear to be a saving angel, and so I think that I'll accept the disadvantage perhaps created by this child, in an effort to use my terrible swift sword of just decision, a non-lethal hidden relic. It has melee elegant and now ranged, and I think the finger will come out and point at this creature's advances, and Quartz will declare, "I believe that you are not holy."
And I think much as we just did, you are trying to stun them to delay them, right? You're not trying to kill them. So let's have you roll diffuse.
I think with force, but I think I'll take the disadvantage of protecting the child just because I think that's fair.
That seems fair.
Which was a terrible mistake to make, but no, that's not so bad actually. That 6 becomes 7, 8.
Okay. So what do you want? There's a cost. The danger comes soon, or it's still present but threatening someone or something else.
I think it will return soon. It will regain consciousness shortly, while I herd any of the other prisoners out.
You've caught your breath here with these things, but they're still here. They're still huge, bloody clawed. You're grabbing people up. There's that moment when we cut back to the Chancellor's office. This beast kind of comes back. There's blood falling on the books. It's raising itself up for another run at you. What do you do, Axel?
Axel just stands there and just puts both his hands up and waits till it's close and then blasts. And I think I'm going to spend a point of data to say that while these things can shut down pain, they still have a nervous system of some sort, and that it's similar to a human. If you chop off the head or hit this in the right way, you can drop them.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll with force.
7, 8.
That is an 8. Choose now. Before I go on, is anybody there to help? The only one I think is even vaguely close to you would be Tendril.
Yeah, I think that I will leap in to assist. I think I've the guard is down for the moment, so I think that Tendril is going to come in, and again I think just blast out this weird eldritch energy towards the creature.
Let's have you roll.
That's 10.
That is a 10. So that will boost that up to a 10 plus. So Rye, under fiercely assault on the 10 plus, you pick 2 and then I pick 1.
I guess I'll go again for inflict savage and terrifying harm.
Okay.
And I don't know if we're getting out of here, so I don't know if I'm scavenging anything else.
We've never found a relic, have we?
No. I think I'll just go back for the data again.
Okay.
Just kind of mine this thing.
Then I think that you will hit it with these things, and Tendril comes up, and Tendril, you have armor, right, of some kind?
I believe I have the same armor as Axel does.
Okay. Then as this thing dies, it impacts into you, claws first, body first, a good ton. So you're going to take, let's see, minus that, you get 2 armor. So you're going to take 2 harm through on that as it slams into you and knocks you. You know, the wind is absolutely knocked out of your system there, and then it just stops moving. Just like all of its autonomic nervous system shuts down, and it is dead. And you'll hear howling in the distance as these stunned ones begin to rise up.
If I've got the time and space right here, I'm now leading some survivors from a stunned beast.
Yeah.
Towards a beast that is recovering from being stunned.
Potentially, you could get people out of here. That is forging a path. If you want to help them, to get them out, you could do that.
That is the holy thing to do. So
that is with force.
So that's +2. That's 12.
So pick one.
And if I pick one, the others then become not true. Am I right?
So if you pick one, the others become not true. Yes, in this case.
So I have to be able. I can't. So I want to take other characters with me. So I have to accept something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the cost there is that your friends, Axel and Tendril, they are going to be cut off away from you.
No, I can't leave Axel twice. That smacks of carelessness. So we'll
your debt, your first debt is absolved. You're free to leave me now and just accrue that debt again.
No, I'm embarrassed about the first time. So I think I'm exposed to danger as I travel. Means that the route is not lost, and I can take other characters with me.
So I think that this one, that you get the people, you're moving, you're calling back for your friends, and that one that was stunned gets up and lays into you. And you're going to take 3 harm. You have armor, though, I believe. But you're muted, so I don't know.
Yeah, I have. Actually, I have hardened, and hardened doesn't, I think, actually just increase the strength of the armor. It's against particular stuff.
It's against environmentals.
Yeah, so I don't think that's against claws. And mantle creates 1 point of protection, I think, to me and anyone in arm's reach.
Yeah.
So I will take 2 harm.
Take 2 harm.
Okay.
So blood is everywhere. People are calling out. The sound of these hounds. Axel, you are injured. Tendril is injured. You see Quartz is gathering people, and there's a moment where you think he's going to leave without you, but you see him turn and wait and is gesturing for you.
Axel, appropriately at 3 harm, is blood soaked, so he stands up and pushes this sloppery thing off of him and staggers to the door, and I think sees that second creature lay into Quartz, and he yells at Quartz, "Take them and run, your debt is paid," and then he will just go and try to toe-to-toe with this second creature.
All right. So you still have 1 hold left, right, on your wasteland thing, right?
No, I spent both hold.
Spent both hold. Okay.
I just took something away and then destroyed his weaponry.
So here's the thing. There's 2 ways to do this. This is a fiercely assault to finish this threat off, or you can just kind of hold in place, which would be a diffuse to kind of hold the line as the others get away.
I'll do the diffuse.
Diffuse?
Yeah.
All right. Then I think that will either be force or steal, your call.
They're both a +1.
Okay. Is it more endurance, or is it more about you, a physical exertion?
I think it's more endurance.
Okay.
I think the armor's taking the hits, and it's just there's just so many of them at some point. Yeah. All right, diffuse. Oh, that's a 4.
That is a 4. Tendril?
Yeah. So I think as we're fighting to hold these things off, and the battle starts to turn against us, and Tendril looks barely standing at this point. There's blood seeping out from under the armor, and they generally look in a bad state. Can
I just, before you do anything, you could invoke the Sky Children's "I will not abandon you" and summon another Sky Child through prayer.
We'll see if we need that in a moment, I think. But yeah, Tendril will turn to Axel and say, "I think this is our last hunt together, old friend. You've probably got about 10 seconds to get clear." The pain box in her hand starts to vibrate and lets out almost like a kind of metallic shrieking sound. And I am going to roll to assist.
Yeah. This will be the sacrificing yourself to give them room, which could go terribly wrong.
Yep. That is a 7. Just so. It's on that. Sorry, on an assist, that is. But in doing so, I did mark off my final box of harm.
So, I think that Axel, Tendril gets in the way, and you can tell that things are about to go, like, Tendril's abilities, the strangeness, and you will move off. And what does it look like when these arcane eldritch energies explode out of Tendril?
So yeah, I think Tendril almost like implodes into the pain box. You can kind of see it like leaching everything out of him, and then it unleashes it in a whirl of synesthetic energy. It's like it has a color, but it also kind of has a taste and a feeling to it. Then as it lets out this sort of like roiling mass of energy around. If there's a body in there, there may not be anymore. Their armor's probably still there.
Axel, as you told him to, Quartz has moved off rescuing these people. He's making his way through, finding the path through, and we come to you. Tell me how you're getting out of this, and then tell me what you've already paid in the cost for the diffuse to be able to move forward.
So I think the first thing is just Axel sees that tendril touching this thing off and just like, no, tendril, don't. And then, but lunges to the side just in time to avoid the pain explosion there. And then I think is just back on their feet, trying to catch up with Quartz, probably just engaging with a few of these things as they run that would have caught up with Quartz from behind, maybe. Do you want me to narrate like how I try to get out of the city, or
no?
just
I think we've kind of gotten to where I think we're going to have you forge a path.
Okay.
I think the question of the route being lost is not on an option. So there's just two options on the table for the forge a path here. Okay. But let's have you roll.
Force.
You can spend data if you want to give yourself advantage.
10.
So do you lose the armor and the equipment, or do you have to face down another one of these things one-on-one before you move forward?
I think there's Axel's not one that would like just throw their armor away, I think, as they are running away for something.
Well, no,
So
this is more a question of it being destroyed, like damage,
yeah.
destroyed in this.
Yeah, well, we can do that. Piece by piece is just
you're running, they're hitting, they're tearing off, they get their claws under it, you're running, but you are following behind Quartz, and the two of you will make your way bloodily back to the dock side, even as we're hearing like the organized howls that we heard before, the sound of their coordination. Something seems to be wrong with those songs. Like killing this leader definitely seems to have disrupted them. It has had the effect you wanted. And you two and probably how many refugees?
I would have thought a dozen children.
Absolutely. Do you think those dozen children plus you two will fit into a 4-man submarine?
They don't have to. Axel's going to hold the dock.
That's a very good question. There must be other boats.
Well,
in fact, I think Quartz has to look at Axel and say, "You have one way out of this situation, Axel. I have the presence's help if necessary. Go, take the children, and if you have time, pray for me."
All right.
As I believe you humans say, I still feel I owe you one.
As I said back there, your debt is paid, but I will call you soon. Just stay hidden. Stay alive. And I guess I'll jump in the boat, and when we're about like halfway across, I'm going to summon him and he'll have to like float in the water or something.
Well, we will see, because these beasts are hot on your heels. Quartz, I need you to make one last diffuse roll.
can I not fiercely assault them?
Yes, you can if you wish.
Because it is holy to destroy the unholy. That's a new one I'm toying with.
Then let's see you roll.
We have to try the experimental energy projector again.
Absolutely.
So I will roll with law, which is plus whoopsie-daisy.
Whoopsie-daisy, that's a good stat.
Oh, that is snake eyes. That is a 3.
So, Alan.
Is there any chance I can aid from the water?
I don't think so. Alan, narrate your finale for me here. When you pull this out, these beasts, we see them in slow motion. They're loping. You know, they have no coordination, but they can smell the blood on you, and that's the only reason they're coming after you. They're rushing through. The children are on the boats. You look back, you see that they're safe. You see Axel looking back, trying to speak your name. You turn, pull out that projector. What happens?
I think we'll see the projector, this energy sheathing his fist, his armored fist, slicing through this wave of flesh, blood, and claw that's about to break on him. And he's taking them down, but he just can't take them down quickly enough. And then they're up close, and the mantle is holding them off, but the mantle is shrinking back all the time. And then there is, I think there's can be replaced with bathed in a blinding light. Well, I think as he moves up the harm track, he's bathed in a blinding light. And then...
and the docks go up. They go up in just a wave of energy. Water and wood and stone will just expand out. There's the Warren beasts that were there. What's left will fly like dolls, and then there's just nothing as the water, the sea rushes back in to fill, where the very ocean, the lake itself had been vaporized by the effect.
And as it says in the death move, the area is racked by energy and becomes a scorched, deadly wasteland forever after.
So we have a rad zone there, and we also have an eldritch energy zone where Tendril died as well.
Cross the rad zone to reach the arcane energy.
But Axel will hear the sound. You can hear the howling in the distance, and probably even see maybe the silhouettes of packs of these things fleeing the city as you.
And I think you can hear Axel screaming Quartz's name, like, Quartz, I'm summoning you, damn it! Get over here! Quartz!
And that's when a Sky Children quick character appears to see you across the rest of the lake, but not Quartz.
Nice. So the city is cleared of the Warren, but the city is in bad shape. It will take much work to repair that. When we zoom out, you get a zoom out effect. Find a new place in your family, scavenging to add tech, find a lead for surplus or removing a need, helping out another faction, or discover a new danger.
Yeah, because things are far too safe at the minute.
Yes.
No, I think actually I'm going to. Well, I guess it's both. I want to find a way of removing my need for land. So I think that's probably going to be the one I go for. Whether it's finding a need or a surplus is or removing a surplus is moot for that one. But yeah, it's.
I think it's going to be that that the creatures of the Warren like fall back. They fall all the way back. The areas they've gone over, the territories that they've kind of chewed through, they will fall back, and those places along the river that they held or threatened will no longer be. And if you can put your people in place, you can take that land.
Sure thing.
I think that's where we're going to stop. I think that's about. I don't think we can top that today. But I do want to give you a chance to tell us sort of what do you think happens next with the Sky Children, Alan? Since you're not going to be here, is there an epilogue you want for the family?
Yes, I think that probably that need for idol. I think that news of Quartz's self-sacrifice will spread and tip those potential new members of the clergy into action, into the church. And I think we might see the children retreat. I think that once per age, I can describe a new commandment. And I'm going with, it is holy to embrace the light cast by science. And I think that probably the children will withdraw within the sanctuary. The church will still be there. The church will still, worship the presence and perhaps remember the children. And on occasion, Sky Children will come in answer to prayer. But I think their presence, literal presence, in the homeland ends. Because now the people of the homeland have enough commandments to live by.
Nice. Is that cool with you guys? Does that seem like the right way to handle that? So we're going to stop here. We'll have Leandro back next time, and we'll continue on with the three. I don't think we'll do a turning of age. I think we still got some stuff to do in this age before we turn it forward. Does that seem fair? What's the tangible physical sign, the scar that Axel is left with after this incident?
Well, I think that the seeds can kind of reshape their flesh if they need to. So it's not like a scar in that sense, but I think it's something went haywire with Tendril's box. And I think that combined with like the kind of experimental technologies of the mantle on his armor has robbed them of the ability to do that as easily. And so I think that there's it's not always in the same place, but I think there's just sometimes a wound will now open up on them.
I like
and then
that.
They'll have to like concentrate on closing it for quite a while.
Oof. Nice.
Oh, that does remind me as well, actually, that we do get kind of the post-credit scene where we see the big swirling void of energy left behind by Tendril's passing, but sitting on the floor, looking entirely unmarked by events, is a little metal cube. As I do leave a relic behind.
Excellent. All right, we're going to stop there. Alan, thank you. It's been a pleasure to play with you in this series. Been super fun. I am going to stop the broadcast here.